What's going on there? Reaction47 coming to you via video link. And tonight we're going to do this guy. He's actually been dead for a number of years. George Carlin, Saving the Planet. And I gotta tell you, after watching this a handful of times, this has to be one of, probably bar none, one of the best rebuttals on climate change and saving the planet that I've ever heard. And the cool part about it is, see, if you do a basic background check on George Carlin, you end up finding out that he's actually a philosopher, but he gets his point across using comedy. So this is George Carlin, Saving the Planet. And he brings up a number of points that I think are, it gets you to think. Instead of being hung up on the propaganda that is permeating our generation, whether they do it through marketing ploys, TV, the media, whatever you call it, let's check out George Carlin, Saving the Planet.
See, I'm not one of these people who's worried about everything. You got people like this around you. Country's full of them now. People walking around all day long, every minute of the day, worried about everything.
Yeah, you definitely have your share of hypochondriacs out there that, like you just said, worried about everything.
Worried about the air, worried about the water, worried about the soil. Worried about insecticides, pesticides, food additives, carcinogens. Worried about radon gas, worried about asbestos. Worried about saving endangered species. Let me tell you about endangered species, all right?
I love that part of the time that I've watched this. Let me tell you about endangered species, all right? Here he goes.
Saving endangered species is just one more arrogant attempt by humans to control nature.
One more arrogant attempt by humans to control nature. Arrogant meddling.
It's arrogant meddling. It's what got us in trouble in the first place. Doesn't anybody understand that? Interfering with nature. Over 90%, way over 90% of all the species that have ever lived on this planet, are gone. They're extinct.
See you later.
We didn't kill them all. They just disappeared. That's what nature does. They disappear these days at the rate of 25 a day. And I mean regardless of our behavior. Irrespective of how we act on this planet, 25 species that were here today will be gone tomorrow.
I know, isn't that the truth? It's just, there are certain things that you just can't control. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now, but it's like, the planet's going to do what the planet's going to do.
Let them go gracefully. Leave nature alone. Haven't we done enough? We're so self-important. So self-important. Everybody's going to save something now.
Isn't that the truth, though? We get into these... We get our mind on these things, and we have such a self-importance to them. Whether it's fighting this or fighting that. Creating a charity for this, creating a charity for that, or even existing charities, and then you find out with a lot of these existing charities, you give to these existing charities, and if you don't do your background check on some of these existing charities, you're basically lining the people at the top, lining the pockets of the people at the top.
Save the trees, save the bees, save the whales, save those snails. And the greatest arrogance of all, save the planet. What? Are these fucking people kidding me? Save the planet? We don't even know how to take care of ourselves yet. We haven't learned how to care for one another. We're gonna save the fucking planet? I'm getting tired of that shit.
You know, I've actually heard from a couple different commentators that environmentalism and climate change it's almost like the new religion. It's like the new belief system, because there actually are the mainstream media will tell you that all scientists agree on this stuff, and granted, I don't know any names off the top of my head, but there are a number of scientists that just aren't flat out not buying it.
tired. I'm tired of fucking Earth Day. I'm tired of these self-righteous environmentalists, these white bourgeois liberals who think the only thing wrong with this country is there aren't enough bicycle paths. People trying to make the world safe for their Volvos. Besides, environmentalists don't give a shit about the planet. They don't care about the planet. Not in the abstract, they don't. Not in the abstract, they don't. You know what they're interested in? A clean place to live. Their own habitat. They're worried that someday in the future they might be personally inconvenienced.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's one of those situations where it's like, you know, they want the park to be all cleaned up. No litter, no beer cans, no soda cans, no trash, no nothing. They just, and not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, some of these people can really get into it. Again, almost like a philosophy or a religion.
Narrow, unenlightened self-interest doesn't impress me. Besides, there is nothing wrong with the planet. Nothing wrong with the planet. The planet is fine. The people are fucked. Difference. The planet is fine. Compared to the people, the planet is doing great. It's been here 4.5 billion years. Did you ever think about the arithmetic? Planet has been here 4.5 billion years. We've been here, what, 100,000? Maybe 200,000? And we've only been engaged in heavy industry for a little over 200 years. 200 years versus 4.5 billion. And we have the conceit to think that somehow we're a threat? That somehow we're going to put in jeopardy this beautiful little blue-green ball that's just a-floating around the sun? The planet has been through a lot worse than us.
I love this list that he brings up about what the planet has been through that is worse than us. Hear him out on this. He and granted, not all of these things are natural disasters, but a lot of what he brings up, it really gets you to think. It's like, are we really the problem? Or it's like, think of what the Earth has been through in the past compared to us.
Been through all kinds of things worse than us. Been through earthquakes, volcanoes, plate tectonics, continental drift, solar flares, sunspots, magnetic storms, the magnetic reversal of the poles, hundreds of thousands of years of bombardment by comets and asteroids and meteors, worldwide floods, tidal waves, worldwide fires, erosion, cosmic rays, recurring ice ages, and we think some plastic bags and some aluminum cans are going to make a difference?
This is not the truth. When you look at all the different things that the Earth has been through between, and the big thing I see is like earthquakes, volcanoes, crazy flooding, forest fires, droughts, all the different things that, the cyclical things that happen through the years. It's like, and then it's like and again, the propaganda these days is to save the planet and climate change and global warming, whatever term or buzzword you want to attach to it. And it's like, really?
The planet isn't going anywhere. We are. We're going away. Pack your shit, folks. We're going away. And we won't leave much of a trace either. Thank God for that. Maybe a little styrofoam. Maybe. Little styrofoam. Planet will be here and we'll be long gone. Just another failed mutation. Just another closed-end biological mistake. An evolutionary cul-de-sac. The planet will shake us off like a bad case of fleas. A surface nuisance.
The planet will shake us off like we were never even here.
You want to know how the planet's doing? Ask those people at Pompeii, frozen into position.
Yeah, the people in Pompeii that have been frozen into position. Oh, jeez. Actually, and I think that's actually happened in more than one place. In Herculaneum. You've got Pompeii, and then you've got Herculaneum on the other side. There was some funky stuff that happened to the people in Herculaneum caught the pyroclastic flow, all the extreme heat, like 700, 800 degrees, and got blasted with all kinds of heat, and all kinds of things happened to their bodies too.
From volcanic ash. how the planet's doing. Want to know if the planet's all right? Ask those people in Mexico City or Armenia or 100 other places buried under thousands of tons of earthquake rubble if they feel like a threat to the planet this week.
If they feel like a threat to the planet this week. Isn't that the truth?
How about those people in Kilauea, Hawaii, who build their homes right next to an active volcano and then wonder why they have lava in the living room?
I know.
The planet will be here for a long, long, long time after we're gone, and it will heal itself, it will cleanse itself, because that's what it does. It's a self-correcting system. The air and the water will recover, the earth will be renewed, and if it's true that plastic is not degradable, well, the planet will simply incorporate plastic into a new paradigm, the earth plus plastic. The earth doesn't share our prejudice towards plastic. Plastic came out of the earth. The earth probably sees plastic as just another one of its children.
I know there's so many social constructs that the media tries to implant in our brain about, oh, this is a pollutant, that's a pollutant, this is a pollutant. And granted, in one sense, yeah, I guess it kind of is, but it's like, I really agree with his point that the earth has multiple ways of shaking itself out of these things. And maybe just one little sidebar to like some of the plastics in our oceans. There have been some situations where they have found where the vast majority of all the plastic that's floating through our oceans right now is like 60 to 70% of it is like abandoned fishing nets.
Could be the only reason the earth allowed us to be spawned from it in the first place. It wanted plastic for itself. Didn't know how to make it. Needed us.
Oh, we're getting bombarded by an ad. We can just skip that. No problem at all, and let's keep going.
Be the answer to our age-old philosophical question, why are we here? Plastic. So, the plastic is here. Our job is done. We can be phased out now. And I think that's really started already, don't you? I mean, to be fair, the planet probably sees us as a mild threat, something to be dealt with. And I'm sure the planet will defend itself in the manner of a large organism, like a beehive or an ant colony can muster a defense. I'm sure the planet will think of something. What would you do if you were the planet trying to defend against this pesky, troublesome species? Let's see. What might... viruses. Viruses might be...
Viruses are a good idea to defend against this troublesome, pesky species. And now keep in mind, George has been dead for probably 10 or 12 years, right around there. Probably about 10 anyway. I think it was 2008 or 2009 or 2012, right around that time frame. So this is an older recording. It's probably from about the 1990 time frame. And as you listen through, you can actually, if you have any life experience at all, you're going to kind of figure out that he's talking about AIDS when he goes through this deposition of which virus the Earth is going to defend itself with.
Be good. They seem vulnerable to viruses. And viruses are tricky, always mutating and forming new strains whenever a vaccine is developed. Perhaps this first virus could be one that compromises the immune system of these creatures. Perhaps a human immunodeficiency virus, making them vulnerable to all sorts of other diseases and infections that might come along. And maybe it could be spread sexually, making them a little reluctant to engage in the act of reproduction. Well, that's a poetic note. And it's a start. And I can dream, can I? See, I don't worry about the little things. Bees, trees, whales, snails. I think we're part of a greater wisdom than we will ever understand. A higher order. Call it what you want. Know what I call it? The big electron. The big electron. Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa.
It doesn't punish. It doesn't judge at all. It just is. And so are we. For a little while. Thanks for being here with me for a little while tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
And that is the end of George Carlin on saving the planet. Like I said, it's from right around the 1990 time frame. And based on the points that he brings up, I'm thinking it's probably one of the best rebuttals I've seen on climate change, probably ever, by any comedian or anybody that has a philosophical background. So let's wipe out large screen. And we're going to end this Reaction 47 series. Excuse me, we're going to end this Reaction 47 session and go on to another one.